Hello, everybody. This is the What is on the Tabletop podcast. My name is Symbiote Joe. You can call me Joe. And my guest today serves Chaos Undecided. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mark, better known as Sexus, and to the most people, I will be known as the Omegon Thresh guy.
That Omegon's Wrath guy.
Yeah,
I have to give a shout out to Omegon Edge, aka Joshua, for recommending you. And I be honest, I followed your account. I looked at it, and my first thoughts were, yes, this looks great. Some way down the line, I will make an interview because I did not necessarily want it Alpha Legionnaire as the podcast goes along, but something happened, and I go a little bit back in time to explain myself and why am I so excited to have you,
okay.
because back in 2006 I became a use well regular user of Warhammer 40k internet forums. It was flourishing at the time, and what I was wondering at the same time, Linux was already a established system. Now, where am I going with that? I will explain. It was always baffling to me that people could come together and make a free operating system, but they could not come together and make good game rules. It was
Indeed.
always a very good analysis of what is wrong with Games Workshop rules, and there were some solutions out there, but there was never a group or hive intelligence afford to make a system, and that might have different reasons, but the problem over the time did not change. And I think I saw more fan made Gene Stealer Cult codices than I actually saw proper released or codices by now.
It is
And
just one codex they released for the Gene Stealers, right?
yes, finally,
Yeah,
after
a
um
decade,
yeah,
or two
I
decades, or
I
three
yeah,
decades.
I think the second edition Tyrannic Codex popped up in '96. Not entirely sure about that, but finally we get to the point where you come in,
Yeah,
because you made your own codex supplement. And would you please give a short explanation what you or what the team you assembled created?
okay. I have to go a little bit back in time. So, when I started playing Warhammer, it was about, I don't know, 13. And we used to play 40k in a very childish way. So, unpainted miniatures or very badly painted miniatures. And I played Chaos Space Marines and painted them red because that's my favorite color. But
Nothing
we
wrong with
didn't.
that. Corn approves.
Yeah, Corn approves. But we didn't dive that deep into the 40k lore or stuff like this because playing computer games were always my first priority. And in 2001, with the release of Dawn of War, me and my best friend we played 2-on-2 in the ESL and the clan Starkoma. And that was a pretty intense Warhammer year. We also started the Inquisitor game, Games Workshop released as their specialized games. Um, and after that, we just played 1 or 2 games of Inquisitor, and then I didn't touch any Warhammer miniatures for about, I don't know, 10 years, I think, or 9 years. And we started with Warhammer Fantasy again with a little group, and everyone played a different faction, and it was very inspiring. And at some point, we decided to go into 40k once more. And I think a year after we started with 40k, the Dark Vengeance box was released. And as you might remember, there was Dark Angels and Chaos Space Marines in there.
And Chaos Cultist, which
Yeah.
I converted into G-Stealer Cultist.
Because you didn't get a codex since then.
And they were great cultist models. The Dark Vengeance box was a great box. It was the first glimpse Games Workshop gave us of the new things, marvelous things to come.
And it's very disappointing to recognize that they still lack of a multi-part cultist kit. But to be honest, we have this whole Necrobunda warbands, which serves as good cultists.
They do, or the Warcry warbands. I finished just a little kit bash of Corvus Cabal and some Drukhari bits, the Scourgers. They make very good models. No. I just let you. I'm not stopping this train. Please go on with the.
Okay.
Please go on, please.
Yeah. So I was a student back then, and as you might know, students do not have much money. So.
But a lot of time.
Yeah, but a lot of time. So I worked as a carer for special or for people with special needs and handicapped people. Back then, and I could afford one of these boxes, and decided to start in Chaos Army. And I wanted to play Alpha Legion because back then I just barely read some lore, and I liked the fact that they infiltrate other legions and are not very much defined in are they traitors or are they loyalists. So that was very appealing to me, and I shared the box with one of my friends who wanted to play Dark Angels and already had a quite big Dark Angels army. And I thought it would be funny to infiltrate his legion. So
quite fitting.
He told me that this weren't possible because of the inner circle and the Dark Angels just interrogate everyone that's coming into the rock and stuff like this. And because of their lore and their fallen, they are quite, I don't know the English word, but they don't trust people.
The Fallen, they are called in English. All Dark Angels that split off and became Chaos are the Fallen.
Yeah, and so the Dark Angels do not trust any other people or legions or brothers or stuff like this. So he claimed it will not be possible to infiltrate the Alpha Legion.
Or is it?
Or is it? Or are they traitors themselves? Nobody knows, but we could talk about this for hours. So I searched a way to infiltrate the Dark Angels with my Alpha Legion, and I read some books back then, the whole idea of infiltrating other legions came into my mind, and how I could make a new way to make them infiltrate other legions. And so this idea of this transition effect was born, because in the book Primarchs, Omegon and his effort squad use some kind of amulets to make an hololith projection that makes them to or transform their appearance to normal beings. And that whole idea gave me, or that whole scene on this market in the book gave me the idea for a kind of device which allows them to transform their appearance. And by the time this idea dig deeper in my head and became that device I described in my Omegon Thrust Codex. So it used some kind of living metal, like Honsu's arms of the Iron Warriors, and it's you have to scan a foe before to rebuild his appearance on your body. But it's not like it's just a hololith projection, which can be recognized as such quite easy by trained Astartes or Primarchs. It's more of a real transformation. So the living metal goes over your body and transforms your armor and your biological appearance to that of the scanned fallen or marine you have scanned before. Yeah, and that's how this idea was born. And should I dig deeper now, or do you
You just dig away. I watch you in fascination and awe.
Okay, so I painted my first squad of tactical marines or chaos space marines back in 2012, and used bits of the tactical marine kit, which was brand new. I think it came out in 2011 or 2010, I don't know, and this chaos space marine kit. So I did not have to decide which way do I want to go. Back then, I wasn't that much into conversion work or kit bashing, because, as you might remember, I was a student and had not much money. So I made the best out of the things I have, and kit bashed the hell out of these guys and painted a transition effect between the Dark Angel color scheme and the Alpha Legionnaire color scheme. So, and then I got to my friend. I did not told him anything about it. And we played a game of Warhammer 40k, and I put the sergeant or captain, I don't know what it is, at first on the table, and he was like, "Oh, you play Dark Angels now?" And I said, "No, I infiltrated your legion." And then I placed the rest, and yeah, we were debating about how that would not be possible, because he still thinks it would not be possible. But as we all know, as we dig deeper into the lore, there was a changeling which managed to infiltrate the rock. And if I remember correctly, he also freed Cypher. So it is possible to infiltrate the rock. It is possible to get past the inner circle. And as we dig deeper into the lore of the Alpha Legion, you will. Oh, I have to make some kind of a spoiler warning, because that's stuff that is written in the new book that not everyone has the chance to read. Ifarius, head of the Hydra. So spoiler warning in here. Ifarius had been raised by the Emperor and Malkador because he was the first Primarch to be found, and was the best kept or best hidden secret of the Empire back then, because the Emperor wanted to keep him secret because he didn't know what causes or what kind of force causes his son to get scattered around the universe. So Alpharius was there when the Emperor found each and every one of his brothers. So he was also there before any of the Primarchs got their legion. So he had this the chance to get his agents and legionnaires into every legion, and you have to imagine this plot that this fact opens, because if Alpharius had the chance to place legionnaires in every legion, there might be higher ranked members of a legion like the Dark Angels. Let's take Azrael or stuff like that, and he might be an Alpha Legionnaire, a sleeper agent from the beginning, and that's a very interesting fact, and makes this whole infiltrating theme so much deeper and so much more creative. And this effect I just imagined back then was just the beginning of movement, I think. It developed somehow in a movement and got somehow kickstarted because my kill team was featured on the Warhammer community site. And,
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and people then got in contact with me and asked about how I make this transition effect. And some people asked if they are allowed to reproduce this effect or this kind of kit bashing and painting to their army.
That's quite nice.
Yeah, that's nice. But I thought, why not encourage people to build armies like that? Because I think it's a, that device is also explained in the codex. Like it's not flawless, It's it creates this biometric and physical appearance of a being that's scanned before, but it's also a very painful process, because you have to imagine that your skin gets ripped off and replaced by another.
That's quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable, and but it's much faster. This whole scanning progress and the activation of this device is much faster than killing your enemy and transferring memories by a psyker, and used your omephagia, I think this organ is called, and eating the flesh of your enemy, and to allow you to gain his memories and stuff like this, and get his face transplanted on yours, and wear his armor and stuff like this. It's a quite long process and needs a lot of planning. And this Omegon Thrust device is more like a tactical device you can use in battle. But if you got hit by a bolt rifle, the surface tension of this living metal won't last, and the structural surface tension will break, and your normal appearance will reappear. So it's not flawless, but it's way more tactical. So a lot of people are afraid, I think, that I could reduce the whole Alpha Legion theme of infiltrating and sabotage and stuff like this to just this effect. But I don't think I reduce the Alpha Legion to this effect, but it's another tactical opportunity they can use.
So maybe I cut in here.
Yeah.
if I'm an Alpha Legionnaire and I love my cultists and my semi-chaos looking warriors, but know that the Alpha Legion never really went into the warp and was quite involved with all the demon shenanigans and chaos god worship, at least most of them as it appears. What kind of play style, what kind of army do I get when I use your supplement?
So with my supplement, you have the opportunity to mix the armies. In the last millennia of war, or the last 10 millennia of war, after the Horus Heresy, the Alpha Legion lost their Primarch, so Alpharius died. Or was it Omegon? Nobody knows. um,
Omegon Edge
and
was quite sure it was Alpharius, but
yeah, yeah.
we let that sit there.
Yeah, they change who they are a lot in the novels and stuff like that. So we never know who. In my codex, it was the original Omegon who died, who pretended to be Alpharius. So the Alpharius who was found first by the Emperor and was raised by the Emperor in Mycador is now Omegon and Alpharius in one. So to get back to your question, you have the opportunity to play some kind of mixed army. This is the first version of this fan codex, and in the codex you find stats and rules for Alpharius Omegon, of course. You can play your own Primarch, and it's comparable to Reboot Gulliman. And you get the first two of quite many units you will able to play. That's a Chaos Reaper, which is kind of an eliminator, and you get the Centurion Obliterator, which is basically just that. It's half Obliterator and half Centurion, and you can play a kind of mixed army. So you can choose to or you can say I am a loyal Alpha Legionnaire player and I want to play with my Primaris Space Marines or with my loyal Space Marine Codex. You can do that and add some chaos stuff to it. And in the future, there will be more units which kind of fulfills two roles at once, like infiltrators of the Primaris Marines are part of the Adeptus Astartes Codex, and there will be, I don't know how to call them, but there will be some kind of infiltrators you can use into or with your Chaos Space Marine Codex too. So it depends on what kind of warband your Alpha Legion is. They're kind of glittered and headless, to say it like this, which is kind of controversial if you imagine they are or using this symbol of the Hydra. They do not have an active leading Primarch, which acts in the foreground like Robot Gulliman 2 does. In one book, that's I think the second page of the Codex, an Alpha Legionnaire named Oculus says, "Make the Legion your own once more, drag it back out from the darkness, and give those who have lost their way direction. Unite us, lead us, Lord Primarch." I won't go into detail, but that sums up the whole thing. There are warbands who are more chaosy, and there are warbands who are more on the loyal side, and you can choose which one you want to play. And this fan codex should give you the opportunity, when it's developed a little bit more, to combine those two without picking the best units. Like, I want to play, I don't know, tell me the best unit of Space Marines. I can't tell. I
Probably all of them.
yeah,
Something Primaris. I'm not that deep into the current meta right now. I knew that at the end of 8th edition, Iron Hands were the go-to legion, but that is all I know so far. It
yeah,
is a lot of the rules, not so much one unit itself, that makes Space Marines the powerhouse that they are most
yeah.
of the time.
So it's not intended to make you pick the best units out of both codex and make some kind of super duper army, but it should allow you to go the way the Alpha Legion is somehow meant to be. So they are a Chaos Legion, but they are loyal to the Emperor. And to get a link between these two things, which there's some kind of difference between playing by lore or playing by rules. So if you're playing,
Quite a huge gap, I
yeah,
I
a
would
huge gap,
claim.
like I don't know, the Mount Everest gap or Grand Canyon. It's more the Grand Canyon, uh, very huge, and I think the opportunity such a fan codex has is to smaller the gap you have. So you can invent lore and invent rules and stuff like this. There will be stratagems too, which are not in there yet, but you will get the opportunity to link a Chaos Army and a Space Marine army to something in between, which the Alpha Legion probably is.
Or at least
And
some of the wall bands. I really like that you are taking that your first take is a more minimalistic approach, not throwing any wild ideas out there, but actually throwing food for thought out there to just give the player these starting points for ideas to develop their own armies more, or to make it fit in the army they have right now. I like that a lot. It is, well, it might come as a bit of a disappointment that there's no much more, but on the other hand, one can see that this is a good approach.
yeah, and I think it's a great way to creative approaches for the Alpha Legion. You can combine things, you can make them loyal, you can make them heretic, you can make them both at once, and the the Codex lore is out of the books. So I don't go rogue there and just imagine things. I just interpret things that are open, like who died? Was it Alfarius or was it Omegon? And that's never really clear because they change positions all the time. And I take that and interpret some lore into it. So that's not, there's no things that I made up in a big way, and so it allows people to get into the lore of the Alpha Legion, like in a kind of summary, and it hopefully gets people to get creative with their models and their painting. So as some people who followed me on Instagram might know, there's one guy, Benjamin from Bremen here in Germany, who makes an Alpha Legion, and he also painted some Blood Angels with the Omegon's Wrath design. And these are full infiltrator models, they just change color. And that's one way to get into it. Just get the model out of the box and try to paint it in 2 different Legion styles at once. And then there's this next step. You can take a model and kit bash the hell out of it and combine, let's say, a Space Marine Tactical Squad with a Chaos Space Marine Squad and get a model which is not just by color different, but also by style. And then you can go rogue and just sculpt your own things. There are people who will sculpt Omegon Wrath models you can print after that. That's one thing that comes in the future. And so it opens a lot of creativity. Alone the artworks people are making. I just asked to click on the hashtag and explain the technology behind this Omegon's Wrath design, and I asked them if they have spare time and just want to paint a Marine half Alpha Legion and have any loyal chapter they like, they could contribute to this movement and make the train go faster, and we don't have brakes, so it's just going faster.
Yeah, I'm looking through the Instagram right now, and the listeners can watch this now. You have quite some guests on this train. I'm just looking at Chapter Master Valrak, who.
He's not a guest. He's kind of he don't want to be an Alpha Legionnaire.
Of course, no one does, or do they?
I asked him to
betray my loyalty. Oh, wait, I have to get that Manchester. Betray my loyalty. Never, never.
It was kind of this never was kind of made for a meme, you know. And I know he's kind of the loyal guy of our Warhammer community, and I really like him. And he has a huge follower base. And,
yes, he has.
And I think it's good that he is loyal as he is, but the whole lore about Alfarius being there when every other Primarch, every other of his brothers were found, opens the opportunity that even Chapter Master Warlock is secretly a sleeper agent of the Alpha Legion.
Yes, it is a it is a very good explanation for the enormous reach that the Alpha Legion has, and I'm a little curious here. Does sometimes the author of the Primarch books involved with the Alpha Legion, does he play with that? Does he lead the reader on just to reveal, oh yeah, this part was not Alfaris, it was Omegon I was talking about?
Well, when Alfarius found Omegon, he told him about his childhood is the wrong way, but about everything that was important to him on the planet he found his brother. And by that time, nobody of his Primarch brothers and nobody of the Imperium of Mankind, except Valdor, Malkador, and the Emperor himself, knew about Alfarius. So they had to reveal themselves at some point, and they choose Horus to be the Primarch, which will find them. And they changed roles to make Omegon meet Horus, because Alfarius met Horus several times. He was there when Horus was found and stuff like this. And so Omegon somehow became Alfarius for a period of time, I think. And Josh was the one who asked Mike Brooks if Alfarius or Omegon died in the Praetorians of Dawn book. And I won't spoil that, but they change roles all the time. So even in the Legion book, they use their gift they have and the second gift they have, that they're twins, to change roles as they please and as this benefits the Alpha Legion. So you will never know if the real Alpharius died or if Omegon died playing Alpharius. And I think, we have to step way back from the fact that when the author in the book writes Alpharius died, that this is probably true and Alpharius died. So I step away back and leave that up to interpretation. Is it real Alpharius who died, or is it Omegon playing Alpharius? And is Omegon still alive, or is it the Alpharius, the first Primarch to be found, playing Omegon? So that's the interpretation of this fan codex.
Okay. So to get a bit more of the technical side of things, have you encountered any dead ends or pitfalls while creating this codex?
There's a great pitfall by people not allowing things to happen which are not written down by official authors of Games Workshop or the Black Library. So
Well, just let me make a note here. For the longest
yeah.
time, I don't know if it is in the current rule book. There was the golden rule of have fun.
Yeah.
And I saw that rule ignored a lot of times, but there is this let's say you start out, you have a lot of time, you're young, you're not that experienced in creating games. There might be thousands of fan codex out there written by a young audience that lack experience and maybe for that reason have not seen any playing outside of the person and his friend who decided to make this codex.
Yeah.
And I think that is a stigma that clings really thickly to the fan-made codex, that it is made by a person that is not an official representative of the gaming studio. But as we progress in life, as we play more games, we get a good sense of what works and what does not work. And I think we might see, or we hopefully, it is my sincerest hope that we see a lot more project like yours.
I hope so. So it all started with a little booklet I gave to my opponent in games, because somehow it's hard to make out which kind of unit my unit represents if I use a tactical squad instead of a Chaos Space Marine squad, or a heavily converted, I don't know the English word for this, the Mauler I converted into Helldrake. And that's kind of different, or it's kind of hard for people to recognize. So I gave a little booklet and said, here, this is my army, which I play today. Here are my list. Here are some data cards like that. So you know which kind of unit stands on the table, and you're not somehow I don't know that he's verwirrt.
You let your opponent know what he or she is getting into. It is with self-written.
Confused.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that he's not confused by my things.
Yeah.
I had to Google the word. Sorry.
It is an important part, and it is at least in competitive play, what you see is what you get is quite important. You need to know what you are facing.
And with this little booklet, there was this idea growing of making an own codex. And I think for people who want to make their own codex because they like to expand their army beyond the miniatures, they have to be very strong, I think, because they have to defend their own lore, their own conversions, their own paint scheme on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and stuff like that. If you make a fan codex for Legion, that's already there. So if I would make a Blood Angel supplement, I probably would get more hate compared to a person like Thunderwolfen. You know this guy on Instagram?
Yes, quite the well unknown celebrity, so to say. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
he's.
And
I've yeah, I know who you mean. He made his own Space Marine chapter, his own Primal Space Marine chapter, and that chapter got some traction.
Yeah, and that's very awesome to see, because if he would make an fan codex, the people won't be so itchy about it, because it's his own chapter. He invented the paint scheme, the lore, and stuff like that. And I use the Alpha Legion and mess around with the Alpha Legion. So that's a whole nother level of making a supplement. And you said by the time, I mean, I'm into the hobby, I don't know, for 20 years or stuff like this. And, for 20 years. And I think by the time you read a lot of books and you play a lot of games, you paint a lot of miniatures, and you know how the things work. And I could work for Games Workshop and making codices, because I am able to use Photoshop and stuff like this to present it, and I'm also able to write some lore. The only thing I lack, I think, is an experience of journey play to make kind of units that fit into the meta. But I think the guys at Games Workshop are not very good in it too. So
I'm at the point where I say they do not care at all.
or they do not care, because, as you said, the game should be fun. And
Yeah.
I think that's what a fan codex is all about. It should make fun. If you invent your own warband or your own legion and your own Primarch, just do it, and just ask some people like I did. I asked our priest, or I don't know his real name, Elijah, I think, to make this awesome codex cover. And if you are not able to paint stuff like you imagine, but have some miniatures, there's so much talented artists out there who can paint your stuff or your miniature into a codex cover or into an artwork you can use in that. And that's the thing, I think, which most people struggle about. So there's a lot of awesome arts in the codices Games Workshop produces, and also in my codice there's a lot of art, and I didn't even use all the art. As you can see on the last page, there's a lot of stuff to come, and stories, miniatures, and stuff like this. People contributed, and I think that's today. It's just a small step. You can just find out on the credit page who made my artworks, and you can write to the people on their Instagram and stuff like that. And can get them or can commission them to paint your miniature or an artwork out of this short story or stuff like that. There are very creative people out there who can help you to create artworks for Codex. And then you just have to photograph your miniatures and write some stuff and then have a fun time with it. And you will find people who love your stuff and who will join in, like a lot of people do with this Omegon Thresh movement, because it allows them to play loyalist models in a chaos army or to convert stuff in a creative way and stuff like this. So you will always get people to like your codex, and even if there are spelling mistakes, which a lot of people annoyed in the pictures I posted before, but I'm not a native speaker, and if the people out there are no native speaker themselves, that's not a huge problem, because you can even find people who are gladly will read your stuff and correct it. This is a very giving community. The people who are the haters are just very loud. So it's easy to find people to help you realize a codex like this. And you can put a lot of work into it and make your army alive on a whole nother level, you know? And just get out of the way of these haters and naysayers and stuff like this, because there are always people who would gladly help. I am one of these people too. I got a lot of questions how I made my codex and what kind of font I use and stuff like this, and I gladly share everything. Even though I had to search it and stuff like this, I am not willing to keep my information and get everything out. People need to make a codex themselves, because I think that's a new way to expand the hobby, to make your own stuff work in this huge universe, which has so much opportunities to make a whole legion for yourself, or just a warband, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Just take any legion and make them unique, you know?
Yes, you can. I was so sad when I when I heard I talked to Grizzly Vegeta, who is quite big into the 30k Sons of Angron, and I was quite sad to listen to him to explaining to me their downfall, and then that they were quite a brotherly legion to each other, and well, a band of brother that after the butcher nails got implemented, just turned into berserkers and felt really regretful just going on a rampage, and had no clue what was going on after the battle. And if I ever turn to Khorne Space Marines again, I I will not make them world eaters, because their background just makes me sad right now. But not sad in a pity. Just really, this is not what I imagined of these well, often portrayed maniacs, and what I think fell short with the aspect of Khorne, that aspect that the god of war also is very fond of martial prowess. So a very skilled fighter is also looked very is very in favor of Khorne, if he so decides to put his skill to praise the Skull God. And if I ever go back to that, I will definitely make a Khorne warband that is more centered on the display of skill than of the display of pure rage and well, berserker tactics. So there's so much. There's, yeah, you already said it. There's so much you can do.
Indeed. And there's so much people who make their own codex. I don't know if you know the guy 9 Words on Instagram, but
I
he
think
also
not. I will note this. That mind works.
9 words,
9.
like 9, the number, and swords. Sure. Sorry,
9 swords. Okay.
9 swords.
Noted. I will check this fellow out, or she.
Yeah, and he also makes his own codex, and you can see it on his profile that he is also the Sons of the Storm, I think they're called, and yeah, he is working on that too, and he also commissioned people and paint stuff by himself and stuff like this. And I think that's the way. He also just altered the official Games Workshop miniatures in Photoshop with his own paint scheme. So you don't even have to paint like a super pro. You can use Photoshop or GIMP, which is free, to alter colors and stuff like this if you want properly painted miniatures inside your codex. So there is a lot of room for making your own codex, and I encourage everyone to do it because yeah, it's great. In my codex, so much people worked to contribute to this codex. I didn't have implemented miniatures yet, but a lot of artwork. So in the next update, there will be more miniatures and more pictures of miniatures and also tutorials. And I do not make all by myself nowadays. So I just can use stuff people made because they like the Omegon's Wrath movement and produces awesome stuff. So there will be miniatures in it from people who were one of the first people who painted miniatures in this style. Like, I don't know if you know Robo Painter on Instagram.
Maybe.
He made this awesome dreadnought of the Ultramarines turning into a Hellbrute of the Alpha Legion.
It is on your Instagram as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And for example, this miniature will find its way into the book, like many other miniatures, and I did not paint it myself, but I can use it to represent stuff I made. And if you inspire people by producing stuff like Thunderwolfen or Nine Swords, which use your own style of painting, people will come up and paint their miniatures like yours, and you can ask them if they are okay if you use their